Story 1. I always hated being in the school after dark. The building seemed alive in a way it wasn't during the day. The humming lights, the echo of pipes knocking inside the walls, the endless rows of lockers reflecting just enough light to make it feel like someone was standing at the other end of the hallway. But that night I didn't have a choice. I was on cleanup duty after the winter play, pushing brooms and folding up chairs in the gym. By the time I was done, everyone else had gone. Even Mr. Harris, the janitor, waved me off with a "lock up when you leave." I thought he was joking. But when I stepped out of the gym, the halls were empty and dark, and I realized I was alone. At least, I thought I was. The first strange thing happened near the science wing. I was heading to my locker to grab my bag when I heard the PA system crackle. A distorted voice whispered, "All students please return to class." I froze. The PA system had been shut down hours ago. I'd heard the switch click. Must be interference, I muttered to myself, walking faster. Then I passed room 108, the old chemistry lab. The door was ajar and the lights inside flickered. I swear I saw someone sitting at a desk in the corner. But when I leaned in, the chair was empty. The smell of sulfur hung in the air, sharp and stinging my nose. I kept walking. By the time I reached my locker, the whole hallway behind me felt wrong, like the shadows had grown thicker. I fumbled with my combination, hands trembling. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, not soft ones, not muffled. Heavy, deliberate, like boots striking tile. They echoed through the hall, steady, unhurried, coming closer. I spun around. No one was there. Hello? My voice cracked. "Mr. Harris?" Silence. I yanked my bag out of the locker and slammed it shut. The footsteps stopped. The silence pressed in, then, slam. A door banged shut somewhere down the hall. I jumped, nearly dropping my bag. My heart was hammering. I told myself it was the wind. Or maybe the building settling. I didn't believe it. I took the stairs 2 at a time, heading for the front exit. But when I reached the main doors, they wouldn't budge. I shoved them with all my strength. Nothing. Locked. I tried the side doors, the back doors by the cafeteria. All locked tight. That's when the PA crackled again. The same voice, closer this time, whispering my name. "Come back to class, Daniel." I nearly dropped my phone trying to call my mom. No signal. Not even a single bar. That's when the lights started shutting off, one by one in sequence down the hall I'd just walked through. Like someone was flipping switches as they moved toward me. I ran, my shoes squeaking against the tiles, lungs burning. I ducked into the library and pulled the doors shut. Inside, the air was colder, dusty. The library always smelled like paper and glue, but now it smelled like something rotten, like meat left too long in the sun. I crouched behind a shelf, trying to quiet my breathing. And then I heard it. A laugh, not a normal laugh. Something wet, broken, like someone trying to remember how to laugh after years of silence. It echoed between the stacks. I squeezed my eyes shut. When I opened them, there was someone standing between the shelves across from me. A tall shape, wrong somehow, its arms too long, head cocked at an unnatural angle. It didn't move. I bolted. The figure didn't chase, but every time I turned a corner, every time I looked back, it was closer, watching, waiting. I made it back to the gym, my last hope. The big red doors loomed ahead. I burst through them and froze. The chairs I'd stacked were scattered across the floor. The stage curtains were drawn, and every seat in the gym was filled with students, not real ones, copies. Their faces pale and smooth like paper masks. Their heads all turned toward me in unison, and then they started clapping. Slow, deliberate. The sound echoed off the rafters, deafening. The figure from the library stepped onto the stage, and in the distorted voice from the PA, it whispered, "The bell has rung. You can't leave. Class is in session." The last thing I remember is the sound of the gym doors slamming shut behind me. I woke up hours later in the nurse's office, my mom shaking me awake. The school was bright again, full of students rushing to first period. No one believed me. They said I must have fallen asleep cleaning, but sometimes when the last bell rings, I swear I hear the PA system crackle, and it whispers my name. Story 2. Everyone at my school knew about the basement. It was locked always. Big metal door with a chain across it, tucked behind the stairwell no one used. Teachers pretended it wasn't there. Freshmen whispered about it during lunch. Some said it was storage. Others said a student had died down there years ago and they sealed it off. I never cared much about rumors until the night of the lockdown. It was a Friday, late. I'd stayed behind in the art room to finish a project. Just me, some clay, and the sound of the janitor's vacuum echoing faintly down the hall. That's when the announcement came over the PA. Attention staff and students, please remain in your classrooms. The building is now on lockdown. My stomach dropped. I thought it was a drill, but drills didn't happen at night. And the voice. It wasn't our principal. It was flat, mechanical, like someone reading words they didn't understand. The lights flickered. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course, the hall outside was empty. I should have stayed put, but curiosity dragged me toward the stairwell. That's when I saw it. The basement door, unchained. The lock lay snapped on the floor, metal twisted like it had been chewed through. The door itself was slightly open, breathing out cold air that smelled like rust and damp earth. I should have turned around, but I pushed it open. The stairs were steep and uneven, leading down into darkness. The deeper I went, the less it felt like a school. The walls weren't painted cinder block anymore, and they were stone. Old, rough, wet to the touch. My phone flashlight barely cut through the dark. Then I saw the desks. Rows of them, lined up like a classroom, but ancient. Wood splintered, names carved deep into the surface. Some still had books on them, moldy and falling apart. I picked one up. The cover read, Attendance Ledger, 1954. The pages were full of names, and every one of them was crossed out in red ink. That's when I heard the bell. Not the normal high-pitched tone of our school bell. This one was deeper, metallic, like a church bell ringing from somewhere far below. It vibrated through my chest. The desks creaked. Slowly, one by one, the chairs pulled out, scraping against the floor as if invisible students were sitting down. The smell of damp earth grew stronger. I stumbled back, tripping over a chair. My flashlight swung and caught something standing at the chalkboard. It looked like a teacher. Or at least it used to. Skin gray and stretched thin, hands nothing but bone clutching a piece of chalk. It scratched words onto the board in long, jagged strokes. I squinted at the writing. Present. The thing turned. Its face was blank. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin. But I knew it was looking right at me. Not present, I whispered, backing toward the stairs. I'm not. The bell rang again, louder. The ledger on the desk flipped open on its own, pages rustling. And then, in fresh red ink, my name appeared. I ran. The stairs seemed longer on the way up, the air heavier, like the whole school was trying to pull me back down. I burst into the hallway and slammed the basement door behind me. The chain was gone, but somehow the lock clicked shut anyway. The PA crackled. That flat voice whispered, "Lockdown complete. All students accounted for." When I checked my phone, it was 3 a.m. The school was empty. No lockdown, no janitor, no sign anything had happened. The next Monday, I told myself it was a nightmare, until I walked past the stairwell and saw the ledger page shoved halfway under the basement door. My name still written in red. Story 3. They say the worst part of detention is the boredom. They're wrong. That night, I learned there are worse things than boredom. It was a Tuesday, late fall. The sky outside was already black by 5 and most of the building had gone quiet. Only 3 of us were stuck in detention, me, a sophomore named Kyle, and a senior girl I didn't know well. Mr. Donnelly, our history teacher, was supposed to supervise, but after the first 20 minutes he muttered something about paperwork and left us alone in the classroom. At first it was fine. Kyle made paper airplanes. The girl scrolled through her phone even though we weren't supposed to. I just stared at the clock, listening to its ticks echo too loudly in the empty room. Then the PA system crackled. We all looked up. The speaker hissed, popped, then a voice came through. It was faint, garbled, but we caught the words, "Detention. Extended." We laughed at first, thought maybe Donnelly was messing with us, but when I checked the clock again, I froze. The second hand wasn't moving. It was stuck. Kyle waved it off, but then the hallway lights flickered. Once, twice, then out. All at once, the room plunged into darkness except for the faint glow of the girl's phone. She swore under her breath. Donnelly better not be screwing with us. We decided to leave. No one was watching us, and the idea of sitting in the dark didn't feel safe. But when we opened the classroom door, the hallway wasn't our hallway anymore. The lockers stretched impossibly far, the walls warped, bending in like the building was breathing. And everything was washed in this sickly green glow, like light leaking up from underground. Kyle whispered, "What the hell?" And his voice carried, echoing way too long. Then we heard footsteps. Not one set. Dozens. Running, stomping, slapping against the tile, but we couldn't see anyone. Just the sound surrounding us, circling closer. The senior girl screamed and bolted. We chased her because what else could we do? The hallway twisted like a maze, lockers slamming open and shut as we passed, spilling papers and books that crumbled to dust when they hit the floor. We lost her at the stairwell. 1 second she was right in front of us. The next, the stairwell was empty, echoing with her footsteps, but no sign of her. Then the PA came back on. Attendance check. The lights above flickered, and for a split second I saw shapes in the glass of the classroom doors we passed. Dozens of faces, pale and grinning, pressed up against the windows from the other side. They weren't students I recognized. Their mouths opened in unison, too wide, stretching into black voids. Kyle grabbed my arm. "We have to get out!" We tried the main doors. They didn't even exist anymore. Just smooth wall where they should have been. The trophy cases were filled with things I'd never seen before. Cracked skulls, rotten books, jars of something dark floating in liquid. The PA whispered again, louder this time. "Present." Present. Absent. The word absent was followed by a shriek from somewhere deep in the building. It was her, the senior girl. And then silence. Kyle and I didn't talk anymore. We just ran. Somewhere along the way, the hallway spat us back into the detention room. The clock was ticking again. The lights were normal. The desks were just desks, except there were only 2 chairs occupied, Kyle and me. The girl's seat was empty. Her bag still slumped against the desk. Mr. Donnelly walked in a minute later, holding a stack of papers, oblivious. He looked at us and said, "All right, you're free to go." Kyle asked, "What about her?" and pointed to the empty seat. Mr. Donnelly frowned. "Who?" The bag was gone. The desk spotless. No one at school remembered her the next day. Not a single teacher, not even the attendance office. It was like she'd never existed. But I know. I remember her face. And every time the PA system crackles during class, I'm terrified it'll say my name next. Story 4. Everyone has a locker. Freshman year, they assign you one and you keep it until you graduate. Rows and rows, all identical, painted that chipped gray-blue color, squeaking when you slam them. I thought I knew every hallway in our school. But one night, I found a locker I wasn't supposed to. It started after basketball practice. The team had cleared out, coach left, and I stayed late to grab a book I'd forgotten. The halls were almost pitch dark except for the buzzing exit signs. As I walked toward my locker, I noticed something weird. The numbers skipped. It went 112, 113, and then, instead of 114, there was a locker with no number at all. Just a blank metal door wedged between 2 others. I'd never seen it before. At first I figured it was an old maintenance closet disguised as a locker. But as I got closer, I saw a combination lock dangling from it, old and rusted, but still shut tight. I don't know why, but I reached out and spun it. The lock clicked open. I froze. The hallway seemed too quiet, like the whole building was waiting for me. Then, slowly, I pulled the door open. The smell hit me first. Damp earth and something rotten, like wet leaves left in a bag too long. The inside wasn't a locker. It was a tunnel, dark, narrow, lined with brick. A faint draft of cold air drifted out, carrying with it the sound of whispers. I should have run, but curiosity won. I climbed inside. The tunnel sloped downward. My phone flashlight barely lit more than a few feet ahead. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, like a classroom full of students talking at once, but none of the words made sense. After a few minutes, the tunnel opened into a room. And that's when I realized I was under the school. The room was full of lockers, hundreds of them, but these weren't metal. They were made of wood, old and splintered, some chained shut, some hanging open. Each one had a name carved into it, names I recognized. I walked past and read them. Kids from my classes, kids from years above me, even teachers. The wood was rough, but the carving was fresh, like someone had been adding names recently. Then I saw my own, locker after locker, all carved with my name. Some were empty. Some had things inside. My backpack, my shoes, notebooks I'd lost years ago. even a hoodie I'd thrown out in middle school. My chest tightened. I backed away, shaking. That's when one of the lockers behind me creaked. It opened on its own. Inside was something slumped in the dark. It looked like me. Same jacket, same haircut, head bent forward like it was asleep. I dropped my phone. The beam of light swung across rows of lockers, and in each one I caught glimpses of myself. Hundreds of versions stuffed inside like broken dolls. Some had their eyes open, staring at me. The whispers rose into a chant, all the voices overlapping until I could make out words. One of us, one of us, one of us. I grabbed my phone and bolted back through the tunnel, not daring to look back. I shoved the locker door shut and snapped the rusty lock back into place, hands shaking. When I came back the next day, I checked that hallway. The locker was gone. The numbers went 112, 113, 114 like normal. No one believes me, but I know it's still there, somewhere. And sometimes, late at night, when the halls are quiet, I hear the sound of a locker door creaking open,